Welcome to my channel once again. The subject of discussion for today is order versus chaos, as you can see in the slide. There's a famous motto in Latin saying ordo ab chaos, meaning order out of chaos, or in other words, creating light from darkness. Needless to say, it is a redundant exercise, according to me. Why create light from darkness when we can avoid darkness to begin with? We are letting the darkness grow and trying to create light out of it. Why convert light into darkness and create light from darkness again? We don't have to create light from darkness. It is ridiculous to create a problem and then offer a solution. But more often than not, this happens in this world, in this luminous world created by the great light bringer, the Lucifer. So, this is a crux of Luciferian philosophy, creating light out of darkness. Whereas they are cleverly hiding the fact that they are the ones who have created the darkness. Why let darkness creep into our system and then create light out of it? Why not prevent darkness from creeping into the system to begin with in the first place? The very motto of US is Novus Ordo Seclorum, which means New Order of the Ages. I fail to understand why the order changes over ages. Good is good, evil is evil, any given time. For example, killing a fellow human is always wrong, whether it is in the Satya Yuga or Kali Yuga. Now, this discussion has taken an interesting turn. Let us now see how this concept of ages and yugas came into the being first. For those who are not very familiar with the Theosophical Society of India, in fact, it was started by, I think, Annie Besant, who was also a freedom fighter in India, and the famous godmother of the philosopher Jiddu Krishnamurti. According to Madam Helena Blavatsky of this philosophical society, she is the most well-known Luciferian. There are supposed to be 7 root races in the world. 7 root races, epochs, and sub-races. The first root race, Polarian, the first root race was ethereal. It was ethereal. That is, they were composed of etheric matter. The second root race, Hyperboreans. The third root race, Lemurians. The fourth root race, Atlanteans. The fifth root race is Aryan. The sixth root race and the seventh root race are yet to come. According to Blavatsky's writings, there are 7 root races assembling for Earth. Each root race is divided into 7 sub-races. Basically, there are 7 root races, which again have 7 branches in the sense of sub-races. So, only 5 root races have appeared so far. The 5th and 6th, the 6th and 7th are yet to come. The first root race, Polarian root race, was ethereal in the sense they were composed of etheric matter. They reproduced by dividing like amoeba. So the earth was still cooling at that time. The first mountain to rise out of the stormy primeval ocean was Mount Meru. In this sense, according to Miss Blavatsky, the first ever creation was the Mount Meru, a mountain called Mount Meru, which is very familiar to the Hindus. Uh, this mountain is supposed to be the abode of gods. The second root race, Hyperborean, this second root race lived in Hyperborea, area called Hyperborea. The second root race was colored golden yellow. The Hyperborea included what is now northern Canada, Greenland, Iceland, Scandinavia, North Asia, and Kamchatka. If you don't know where Kamchatka is the easternmost part of Russia, just beside Japan. The climate was tropical because Earth had not yet developed in an axial tilt. The esoteric name of their continent is Plaksha. They call themselves the Kimpurushas. They reproduce by budding, that is, flowers like trees. They recreated, reproduced. The third root race, Lemurian. This root race is by far the most psychic. They had the powers of telekinesis, telepathy, as we call today, the most sophisticated of all the races. Lemurians were the first peace lovers. The third root race, Lemuria. Why I am so interested in this race is basically I belong to the same race, I believe. I am from the South Indian race of the Dravidian race of South India, and Dravidian race is the most prominent of the Lemurian races living today. The third root race, the Lemurians, lived in Lemuria. The esoteric name of Lemuria is Shalmali. Lemuria, according to Theosophists, existed in large part of what is known now the Indian Ocean, including Australia and extending into South Pacific Ocean. Its last remnants are the Australian continent, the island of New Guinea, and the island of Madagascar. Lemuria sank gradually and was eventually destroyed by incessant erupting volcanoes. Lemurians, the famous of most famous races of Lemurians are, of course, the Dravidians and the Aboriginals of Australia, New Zealand, and of course Madagascar. And I forgot to mention how it got its name. Lemuria, one kind of monkey called species of monkey is called lemur, and these animals were found in these were abundant in Lemuria, but later the continent of Lemuria sank. So, with the sinking of Lemurian continent, they also disappeared. So, that's how it got its name. We will discuss this some other day in detail. Moving on to the fourth root race, it's called the Atlantean. This race inhabited Atlantis. Subraces of Atlantic root race, the fourth root race, the Atlantean, according to Theosophy, arose approximately 4.5 million years ago in Africa from the fourth subrace of the Lemurians in part of Africa. So, as you can see now, the races started with first subrace was Polarian. Then the second subrace is Hyperborean and the third subrace is Lemurian, and the fourth subrace is Atlantean. So these subraces evolved from the last or the latest subrace of each root race. These root races, all these are root races. Of those root races, whatever is the latest of those root races, the next race developed. So this Atlantean race developed from the fourth subrace of the Lemurians in a part of Africa. According to Theosophists, the first Atlantean subrace was the result of the last and seventh of Lemurian subrace, as I told you just now. The Atlantean root race had Mongolian features. So, you can say the Dravidian features are belong to the Lemurian root race, while the Mongolian features belong to the Atlantean root race. The fifth root race. So moving on to the fifth root race, and the race which we all are very much familiar with in the as you can remember, a 5 foot guy uh, shook the world, as they say, shook the whole world. He's such a short guy with one testicle. He shook the whole world and caused so much destruction and bad blood in the world. Anyway, so that famous guy, you might have guessed by now, he is the Mr. Adolf Hitler. Okay, the fifth root race is Aryan root race. Early beginnings of the Aryan root race, Blavatsky asserted humanity is now in the fifth or Aryan root race, which Theosophists believe to have emerged from the previous fourth root race, Atlantean root race. So, in a way, we can say that the Atlanteans, who were had Mongolian features, developed from the square faces they had. They're sometimes referred to as block faces. Those square-faced Lemurians, or you can say Dravidians. So Mongolians evolved from Dravidians, and Aryans evolved from the Mongolians, of course. So let us continue with the slide. Fourth root race, and beginning about 100,000 years ago in Atlantis. So the Lemurians found around 4.5. The Mount Meru came up from the primordial sea in around 4.5 million years ago, and 100,000 years ago the Aryans evolved from the Mongoloid Atlanteans. According to Pavel, when Madame Blavatsky stated that the Aryan root race is million years old, she meant that the souls of the people that later physically incarnated as the first Aryans about 100,000 years ago began to incarnate in the bodies of Atlanteans million years ago. However, another way of interpreting this is that the nature began to create the Aryan race before the final cataclysm. Theosophists believe that the Aryan race was physically progenited by the Vaivasvata Manu, one of the masters of the ancient wisdom. The present day ethnic group most closely related to the new race is the Kabil. It's very much similar sounding to cabal, right? Wherever you have cabal, it's a secret. They will be cooking up something. Anyway, the sixth root race, according to C.W. Leadbeater, a colony will be established in Baja California by the Theosophical Society under the guidance of the Masters of the Ancient Wisdom in 28th century for the intensive selective eugenic breeding of the sixth root race. The Master Moria will physically incarnate in order to be Manu, progenitor of this new root race. So everything is written. Some people in my place who came to power say they came to power according to the script of the God. God's script is written that way, that they come to power. So anyway, and they are the worst, of course. So anyway, the sixth root race is one which will emerge in the 28th century. We are now in the 21st century, and there's 7 more centuries we have to slog like this, take life, get killed, go through torture of Yalabath. So, and in the next slide, you will know what I mean, how I think this whole thing is nothing but the concoction of Yaldabaoth. So moving on to the seventh root race. The seventh race will rise from the seventh subrace of the sixth root race on the future continent that the sixth root race will be living on, that will arise from the Pacific Ocean. The continent they will inhabit is esoterically called Pushkara. Pushkara. Those who don't know about the Pushkaras in Hindu mythology, they believe that the passage, basically when Earth is comes in a straight line with Jupiter, that in fact Earth aligns with Jupiter. That is when the Earth completes its cycle around Sun once in 12 years. That is called Pushkara. So these guys will live on a place which is called Pushkara. So I think definitely it has something to do with Jupiter. Have you seen the movie Jupiter Rising? Yeah, yeah, it's pretty much true. Yeah, let's not deviate. This root race will be the last race to appear on planet Earth. Theosophist Scott Ramsey predicts that any sexual difference between humans will cease to exist and both conception and birth will become entirely spiritual. Good riddance, right? All the birth pains, all the torture, all this nonsense will disappear, and see, you won't have any difference between man and woman. What are you reminded of when we say this whole difference will be gone between man and woman? See, we are going back to the beginning again. This whole human race was created by Yaldabaoth. Yaldabaoth is basically androgynous. So he hated from the beginning, he hated the capacity capability of man having the pleasure, the pleasure of intercourse. So he's all the time he was against man having carnal pleasure. So if everything goes to plan, the seventh root race will have no difference of sex. So everyone will be, there will be a unisex, and the reproduction will take place by only spiritually. That is something like, you know, how the cells divide. One cell divides into two cells, and two cells divide into four cells, something like that. That cell division will take place, and there will be no more two different uh, sexes. Yeah, this is, I think, not necessary. Now, coming back to our the actual subject of order out of chaos. They say that this is basically a slide from a presentation on Apocryphon of Saint John, the Gnostic text. On the left side, you have the basically the what do you call the Gnostic world, and on the right side, of course, you have Yaldabaoth's world, the material world. So, in the pleroma, as we call it, pleroma means fullness, that is the heaven in our terms. When we die, we are supposed to join the heaven pleroma, the fullness. So, the pleroma will have light, the material will have darkness. Pleroma will have a watery lights ambience. It always looks like water. Whereas in the Yaldabaoth's material world, you have luminous fire. That is why he is called the Lucifer, the light bringer. In the heaven, you have no boundary. It is boundless. It is infinite. The world is infinite. In Yaldabaoth's creation, you have space, right? In the heaven, you have heaven is in fact eternal, right? In other words, there is no time in heaven. In the Yaldabaoth's world, there is time. Every second that passes by is time, because counts as time, right? In the heaven, the beings are immortal. There is no death. In the material world, as we all know, beings are mortals. In the heaven, there are archetypes called eons. Here, we have in the material world, these are nothing but the shadows. Basically, the material world is just an illusion. It is not real. It is a hologram projected by Yaldabaoth. In fact, these worlds are layered upon each other, one upon the other. And let me complete this slide and I'll show you one interesting depiction of the universe. In the heaven, this spirits dwell. In the Yaldabaoth material world, soul and the body dwell. Soul and body. Why soul and body? Because Yalvath himself created the body of Adam and he blew his breath into his mouth. So that is the soul. And some other day I will explain what is soul numerically. And these are all, they have everything to do with maths. And I will show some other day what it means. And of course, I wanted to show you something which is I draw most of my uh, sorry let us discuss it some other time. I think let me complete this presentation for the day. There's one more subject sub-subject rather I would like to discuss: entropy. Why I'm talking about entropy now? Entropy is a scientific concept as well as a measurable physical property that is most commonly associated with state of disorder. By now, you might have guessed why I'm referring to this entropy. Entropy is nothing but chaos. It is the disorder. It is state of disorder, randomness, uncertainty. The term and the concept are used in diverse fields from classical thermodynamics, where it was first recognized. This concept called entropy was first recognized in the field of thermodynamics. In fact, entropy is chaos. We will discuss about this subject some other time, but uh, I just wanted to refer to this as it has everything to do with chaos. So, if there is no entropy, there is no chaos, and you don't need to bring order out of this chaos. Avoid entropy, then there is no chaos. Simple, as simple as that. So, for now, I will conclude this presentation, this lecture on order versus chaos. I might have touched many sensitive subjects, but I have not concocted anything. Everything is in the open domain, that is discussed in the open domain. I have I have not added anything on my own to the subject I discussed. So it is my firm opinion that chaos or darkness is not needed at all. Why create darkness and bring light from it? It's a redundant process and totally unnecessary. And yeah, the one more thing I wanted to discuss was about the time. The time, as we can see here, this was why I took this slide. The time is eternal in heaven. Time, there is time here in the Aldabas material world. So, whatever we call time is only applicable to the material world created by Yaldabaoth, and it does not apply to heaven, which is eternal. There is no time. So, whatever tenets we follow in any religion or science, those tenets apply to all times, not just one time. Okay, so here I think it wouldn't be amiss to show you one thing that I have been showing you for some time, but let me show you once again so that it makes a lot more sense now. Okay, let me. I think this is the one. No, yeah, this is the one. Here, Yaldabaoth, who is a 5 cube, I think there's a better slide than this. I will show that slide probably. Yeah, this is a slide. Yaldabaoth created planets according to formula given below. Yaldabaoth 5 cube, Sun 4 cube, Moon 3 cube. They made 216, which is the black cube. 6 cube. In fact, 5 cube plus 3 cube, 5 cube plus 4 cube plus 3 cube makes 6 cube. Total of 6 cube, which is nothing but 216, which was created by the Mahakala. Mahakala, the word Kala in Hindi or any Indo-Aryan languages, it means time. It has two meanings. Kala means time, Kala means black, both. So this guy is called Mahakala in the sense that in one way he is the time lord, and the other way he is black. In the sense, six cube is the black cube, worshipped by many. Basically, this is the guy who created time. So, going back to our presentation, present subject. Yeah. So, this is why go went there, shown that slide. The eternal time and versus time. The eternal time is called the vertical time. So, in heaven, there is no time. It doesn't change. It remains same. So, in such realm, the realm of heaven or pleroma or the fullness, there is no time and rules are steadfast. They don't change over time. There's no one order for one age and a different order for different age. The order is same for all ages because there is no age at all. The time, the concept of time and the construct of death are wholly peculiar to the material world in which we live, and which of course is created by Yaldabaoth the Mahakala. I'll conclude my presentation for the day here, and yeah, thank you.